See if 5RATFORCESTAFF staff have a means of getting around it. I don't think the DK and the Bane are going to be the solutions in and of themselves, but still plenty of time to go for them, and still, excuse me, plenty of presumably damage for them to pick up as well on the back end of this draft.
Yeah, and I'm really interested to see it and love that band from Felt. I mean, it has just been a huge, I think, uptick for Giant, especially when Giant was kind of getting bounced around on teams, when he was standing in for a lot of teams and just getting the games in, I want to say, almost getting his card punched. Every single time he was on his hoodwink, and whenever he gets that hoodwink, it just feels like he's a different player. It feels like he's refreshed almost. Now, this has been a conscious choice, though, I think, for Felt. Because now, if they wanted to, we could see that Skyreth Mage finally get picked up by a team here, and I think 5RATFORCESTAFF could very likely pick it up, pair it up with the DK. That's your burst damage, that's your person that can go in here. But no, Enchantress it is, and honestly, that hero is broken. That hero is so good. It's all the best parts of Chen with pure damage and just someone. It's a Mirana and Chen pretty much added into each other. Throw a dispel on top and healing. You've got just an incredibly strong hero in the meta. Not to mention, that's going to be your person running around in the jungle. That's going to be the one really hampering, I want to say, this Keeper of the Lights game more so than anyone else's. Not to mention, if this Deuce's lane doesn't go well, and the Deuce most likely is going to be laning versus a DK, it's really hard to lose any lane as DK. And with the wave pushing in as it is, there will be a tipping point where I think the Medusa is going to take a step out, the Enchantress is going to follow you in, and now Felt they need to get something, I think, from their mid laner that's going to be the one to stop that aggression, because otherwise, I think 5RATFORCESTAFF, they're going to be very annoying. They've got some very pesky heroes, to say.
Just they've just got so much to sort of both harass you and kind of stonewall you, right? Because the Dusa, you're a right-click hero into an Enchantress who has both the slowing and the healing. The DK, as you mentioned, is just kind of a brick wall that you struggle to get through until later on in the game. So if you're Felt, it depends really, I guess, how they want to approach this, because you can either maybe try to sidestep some of that durability with some more teamfight and lockdown, or they could honestly try to brute force it. Just go for even further damage and just break through that sort of high amount of sustainability. Although with the Clockwork pick, it looks like maybe they're leaning more towards the teamfight and lockdown aspect.
Yeah, and Clock, of course, when you see Bane Enchantress, that's why this Clock is such an easy pick, I think, for Felden. Clock has definitely been shoved aside in terms of the main meta, but versus those very squishy, those very easy to isolate ranged heroes, Enchantress, no, if Enchantress has a friend, she's not so thin, but it's where if you can catch them kind of by themselves, the Clock is certainly going to be an annoying hero pick. And the Sand King, just another great hero. They're just picking very basic, very easy stuff to execute. There is a little bit of flexibility in Feld's lineup, though. We haven't, I think, seen the Coddle be as popular in the mid lane as we have seen again in other regions. But the Coddle could go mid, the Sand King could go mid, the Sand King could be off lane, the Coddle could be 4. There really is just an incredible amount of movement from the Keeper of the Light, the Coddle, or the Clockwork, and the Sand King. Those heroes could really go in a number of lanes depending on what 5RATFORCESTAFF pick.
Right, they've got that flexibility to work with here, whereas 5RAT, maybe not quite as much. Theirs is a little bit straightforward, but we'll see. Play is here with the fourth pick. They're going to get the CK, so this lineup, I mean, they are going to have a lot to force your way through. Looking at it from the Felt aspect of it, DK and CK, not exactly easy targets to bring down.
Yeah, and as we usually talk about with Clockwork, Clockwork feels great versus Bane and Enchantress, but with versus those illusion heroes, you kind of feel useless. It's where it just kind of gums up the cogs. You're not able to get in on the target that you necessarily want to. It makes those team fights even more difficult to execute versus, and that's where you wonder if Felt's going to regret this pick. He's going to need to get a lot of work done, I think, in the early game. That's where we're really going to feel how strong this clock is going to be, but I do feel like with the CK pick, we might see him go to the 5 position. We might just see him pick it up. It might just be a Pingu Clockwork, a hero that he is very comfortable with in the very same vein as Husky on 4 Zoomers likes picking the Clockwork and then just running at the enemy 4. And if it is a 4 Enchantress, he should hopefully find some success there. But I think that's where name of this game is really going to be a battle of sentries. You've got an invisible Sand King on the other side. You've got an Enchantress who cannot get creeps. If the Sand ever gets creeps, that Clockwork's lane is just over. I think that's where it's really going to be a little bit of a scare for both sides. If you get that dominance, though, I think this laning stage is going to be so much easier for the team that wins that out.
Meantime, getting down into the final phase of the bans here, Felt, Invoker, and Monkey King banned out there. So obviously with Bane and Enchantress, you're looking at a core, but maybe Felt not 100% certain of the positions for the Dragon and the Chaos Knight. Meanwhile, on the other side of things, 5RAT, yeah, Ember and Huskar taken away. It's pretty straightforward what they needed to remove position-wise.
Yeah, and with those bans, they do leave themselves open, I think, especially for the DK to go mid. If this was going to be, again, kind of that lane swap up and they do have
Oh,
last pick, okay, now it's not a DK mid. Now you can't do that. That's a really good Batrider pick. That's a very good forcing move here. And I do wonder, do 5RATFORCESTAFF just pick Queen of Pain? Is that where we're going to see them go? They need something that's going to continuously give them damage in these fights. It's where CK, he's going to be very beefy, he's going to be very annoying, but I do have some concerns. I'm a little bit nervous here. And in terms of Nico's hero, I think the Invoker ban is right on the money. I think the Monkey ban is kind of supplementary just in case they did want to kind of flex things around, but the Invoker ban would have been exactly what 5RATFORCESTAFF were looking for. And now, you think of Nico, you think of his Puck, you think of his Queen of Pain, of Spirit wouldn't really do the job in this game. And I think versus the Batrider, aside from the Queen of Pain, I can't really think of that dead set Nico hero and can lane and can kind of do what he needs to do in this game. They've really done a good job of kind of singling it out. And, well, there you go. Simple as it can be.
don't really have too many other options. The Batrider, though, I don't know. I just love seeing it. I think across both divisions of NA, the last DPC tour, Batrider picks were in the single digits. The bans were 4, 5, 6 times that, but very rarely did we actually get to see this hero picked. Part of the reason why, though, is, well, the Queen of Pain can be on the other side, and then your lane gets a little bit interesting. So we'll see how Shinra can sort of deal with this one, but really, success or failure, ET, I'm just kind of excited to see Batrider picked at all.
Yeah, it's going to be really kind of fun to watch. And of course, I think really the one that's probably the most upset with this turn of events is Little Nick, just because he's the vulnerable one. He's the one where Batrider stops showing for maybe a minute or two, gives the lane over to Pingu, and then suddenly you're lassoed underneath the tier 2 tower, and then you're just dead. And there's not much you can do about that. And I think that's where for 5RATFORCESTAFF and getting onto these towers, how they play around their DK forum is going to be very important, and how Felt actually take that defense is going to be just as important, because I think that's where 5RAT are going to be necessarily their weakest when they are kind of trying to push for those early objectives. You will certainly see Felt try and bounce back and try to hit them up, especially before a lot of their timings. But Felt are a very timing-based team, item timing specifically. They need the Blink Dagger, they need the BKB on Batrider, you need that Mantis Scotty on Medusa, and then you can operate. Until then, though, 5RATFORCESTAFF have quite a wide opening, I think, to play in between.
Yeah, just, can you survive maybe is a little bit too sort of doom and gloom kind of term, but can you just hold the line until you sort of start picking up those big items, because then the game can change quite nicely. That's straight up nature of Medusa. And as I said before, we saw it in just the previous game. What happens if you don't apply pressure? So Solji, I think he's hoping that his opponents kind of leave him alone the same way that the previous Medusa was able to avoid pressure.
Yeah, and I think that's where whenever these team fights and these big team fights are coming, are it's going to be so important about how they play around Stone Gaze. And I think that's where Solji is going to need to be incredibly careful, because if he gets his Stone Gaze forced, what 5RATFORCESTAFF want to do, they want to go on the Medusa, provoke that Stone Gaze, get that big ultimate out of the way, sleep him, DK stun him, run away, and then they come back. And then Felt cannot take that fight. So it's whenever they make that run away, when they make that ditch, as soon as Soldier commits that ulti, it's where the rest of the members of the team, they have to find it. You have to get that lasso, you have to get that bro strike, you have to get the hook shot, and I think that's where the game is really going to be kind of cut. Kind of, if you get that jump, then you win. If you don't get that jump, they run away, they get the reset, and then you need to be scared out of your mind if you're Felt.
Mm-hmm. And but that is not exactly an easy sort of play, that series of events you just outlined. If one of those steps fails, then you need to seriously reconsider whether or not you actually go in. So they've got a lot of moving pieces that all need to sort of come together, whereas Felt, well, maybe don't have to be quite as worried. If you're Felt, though, you are still looking at this point to force those exact types of errors, right? Put your opponents in a position where they need to make a tough choice and they make the wrong decision. The two teams coming into this game averaged not exactly the same, but pretty similar in terms of kills, assists, last hits per game, all of that. They were pretty much neck and neck. The only major difference, ET, was the kill count, or excuse me, the death counts between the two squads. 5RAT averaged about half as many deaths as their opponents, so they don't make a lot of mistakes, and if you're Felt, you kind of need to rely on forcing them to make those mistakes to get your plan working.
Yeah, and I mean, hey, Albino Zebra 1 is in the lobby. If anybody's gonna be dying on 5RATFORCESTAFF, it's gonna be the Bane. He's that type of guy. But I think really the lane I'm gonna be looking at the most though is probably gonna be this mid lane. Just seeing if Nico can really pull the rug out from underneath Shinra, because that's what he's known for. He is the man who solo kills Quinn. He's the man who is so good in the laning stage and then kind of falls off a little bit, but if he gets that early advantage, he can certainly keep it.
Is it's kind of what NA is about, right? We got so much talent at that middle lane. As well, down in the bottom lane, Sand King taken down, DNM able to find the first kill, and it's a nice opening for 5RAT. But as I was sort of saying, the middle lane does not lack for talent. It's just maybe some of the off lane positions where we don't have quite as wide of a player pool to work with. And I don't mean to sort of hate on Zor there, but right on cue, he sort of gives up that first blood.
Yeah, and I mean, it's rough, right? You're laning versus a CK. The DNM did commit every single stun. You know, you eat a lot of magic damage, and a lot of the times with these more greedy offlaners, you get cut out. I mean, look at his inventory. It's a little bit messy. You know, he's got half of a bracer, half of a magic wand. You know, I'm not surprised at all that he kind of lost his life there. But it's where once he gets level 3, once he gets a few points up in both the Caustic and the Burrow Strike, then the threat becomes whether or not you're going to take that magic damage. But in the meantime, Afromush has done some really nice plays, getting a few of those half pulls off, denied actually, I think, a full half of a wave, meaning Dam and Albino are just kind of even now, at least in terms of XP. Maybe not gold.
DNM, okay, they throw the sentry down. They're going to look for this kill. Can the Sand King get away? Well, he can with the help of the cutoff, so got to throw an Illuminate in there, but at least you'll pull him back. But you saw DNM got the Soul Ring pretty damn fast in this lane, so you can never fully discount the threat of that stun sort of coming in onto you. So that opens up more for 5RAT if they want to try and play aggressively, and considering they're going up against a Sand King here, I would assume that they are going to at least give that a couple more attempts over the next few minutes.
Yeah, and I mean, look at Albino Zebra 1. He's just completely, I think, won the Sentry battle. He's unblocked the camp. He's gotten it in the wave. He wants to get that Nightmare, but it's not going to work. And again, the teamwork. They are so fast with that. And of course, they knew he had the Sentry from before, but the longer they keep this control, the less he's able to farm on the Sand King, and the more Afromush is forced to do this. He's just nuking for damage and XP. He's not really giving anything over to Zor.
This is not a great laning situation for your Sand King, but actually, I was going to say, you know, he might have some chances to recover. That really may not be the case. You look at the other cores, right, as, okay, trying to turn around, burrow into the Illuminate. It's a nice bit of damage, but not really going to be able to turn that into a kill. But if Zor really does struggle here on the Sand King, you've got a Dusa and a Bat Rider as your other two cores. They kind of have first rights to a lot of that jungle farm, so your Sand King may not have a whole lot of opportunities to catch back up.
Yeah, and another thing is in a game where the Ancients are so easy to farm and so valuable to stack, having Afromush kind of be forced to sit idly by and almost babysit Zor at these earlier levels, it's unfortunate, because you know if they have a 3 or 4 sec Ancient, they have 2 or 3 heroes that could kill it very early, and I think that's one of the things that maybe they could do for Zor, is if they do give him that Ancient stack, it's something to play around, it's something to play for, and I think that's going to be incredibly important for him. Meanwhile, Afromush, he's being nice, making sure Shinra gets the bottle, but at the same time, Nico already got the rune, so it's not like the Queen of Pain is really missing out on anything. But 22 and 12, Nico's working the mid lane. He's doing exactly what I thought he would.
This is not a great situation for Shinra, but I mean, last pick Queen of Pain. You kind of know it's not going to be fun for you here, but just salvage what he can. You would love for him to be able to fall back on some stacked camps, but that brings us back to that previous point. The Coddle has not been able to be as mobile as he would want, so it's all kind of starting to compound here as much as it can 5 minutes in, but some early concerns on that Felt side. We'll see just how efficiently they can farm as Giant. Okay, is it just a little mean? Moving his way into the north side jungle and just taking...
Tengu.
You don't want to be here. That's a lot of damage, those skeletons. I mean, it doesn't quite, like, stack up as ridiculously as it did before, but they can still hit hard, and Pingu is not a very tanky hero, as Giant actually brings those skeletons over. This is just a stupid amount of damage on a tier 1 tower this early.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate the push maybe comes a half step early. He loses a lot of the skeletons before the cart arrives, but with the cart here, they can't really approach, and at the same time, again, bottom lane is not going so well, and I mean, I'm just seeing the mid tower die 5 minutes into the game with all 5RATFORCESTAFF heroes being the top 3 last hits. This game is not looking so hot. 2K at 6 minutes is something else, and wait, Shinra.
Oh, Shinra, that's too far forward. I think he just assumed Giant wasn't there anymore. Nico, yep, he sees the opportunity. I don't know if you needed that, but why not? Style points coming in. Nico not taking any chances, needs the damage and gets the kill. So now the mid lane is done. It's over. It's gone. Nico wins. He gets the kill. He gets the tower, and your Batrider has to sort of shove off to the jungle, I think, significantly earlier than Felt would have been planning for.
Yeah, at the same time, you look over at top lane, Nick, who wasn't laning with anyone, Giant was getting his levels pretty much by himself, is now underneath the tower, and, well, I think he might have strayed a little bit too close to the sun here. He should just get lassoed back. I don't know what Shinra's waiting for.
And then he gets hit up by the Centaur. The Stomp comes in. They still don't have the lasso. Meanwhile, over in the bottom lane, they find a kill onto Afromouse, and this is just getting terrible. Now this is not really getting a kill for an advantage. You have to get this kill just to justify the cost of this play. And I'm still not sure that they're getting it. Lil Nick just refuses to go down. They'll finally finish him off, but... well, now here comes Nico, looking for some revenge. Jumping in. Now maybe you regret having used that Sonic Wave mid earlier, because he doesn't have the damage to really finish any kills right now, and he just needs to be careful he doesn't get taken down. But there's going to be the Centaur coming in again. The Stomp connects. Pingu taken down. And Shinra, is he gonna die? No. Just barely able to survive. They get the kill onto Giant in exchange, but the Queen of Pain was able to make her escape.
It's still very bizarre, though. It was really perplexing as to why that kill really took as much time as they did. And I think you lose heroes in the meantime because of how long and how not cut and dry that situation was. But sure, you know, you still kill the DK, you still get the pressure off your tower. It was certainly an overextension from Little Nick, but it's still very, very bizarre. And at the same time, you dragged everyone away again from this bottom lane. Zor is the saddest Sand King around. He's still just gonna die here, and there's no rotation. Everybody went top for that fight, so there's just kind of a whimper from the Sand King.
It's just a tough lane, and there really isn't any immediate solution for him, because I was mentioning earlier on, you know, he might not have too many opportunities to farm. That was assuming that the Bat was just gonna sort of hold steady mid. Now with mid gone, there's no maybe about it. Zor just will not have any access to significant amounts of farm. Meanwhile, DNM just continues to plow his way forward, top of the net worth by a pretty hefty margin compared to that Medusa, and a lot of pressure that can be applied to him anymore.
Yeah, it's where, again, this next lasso is going to be very important. It's where, unfortunately, though, as we keep highlighting with the collapse of mid lane, these heroes are stepping on each other's toes. Shinra wants to be farming his top jungle. He wants to be making a look at those stacks. He wants to be trading off the mid XP for Afromush to hold the tower, but there's no tower to hold, and it looks like they will decide to give this Bat Rider the camps, and it's just unfortunate, because again, you would love your Sand King to have that. You'd want that Blink Dagger to be built up and done already, but it's where the lanes just have not gone well enough that they are almost forced into this decision. At the same time, the balance is just there on the other side for 5RATFORCESTAFF, and Nick is just going to very freely get this tower. I think he needs to be incredibly careful, and he's not going to be long for this world.
Not very careful, all things considered, as Giant brings him down. Tower will fall. And I think as well, Giant, I believe he had a creep that actually scouted out that Shinra was taking those stacks. So they knew that the Bat really wasn't going to sort of sacrifice that farm to TP in. And now, well, now they're actually going to try and push in onto him. They throw the sentry down. Shinra's Invis Rune is not going to protect him. He needs backup. Good play from Afromouse trying to get in there. And think that little bit of the knockback is going to be just enough to save the day, but that was a close call.
Yeah, easy walk away. Not really anything expended. In fact, I guess gold gained for 5RATFORCESTAFF just because DNM was farming the wave during all that. But at the same time, bottom lane, AB1 set up. They need to find the lasso. They need to break it up. But I think Nick, he's being very smart about this. He's not going to give away his life here. But okay, that's your trade. It's very close. It's a very high-level Bane, but they need to not lose anyone else. And Zor, well...
Can't get away. Pingu's still copying some damage. Nico, meanwhile, oh, he went for the kill. Links between the towers to get onto Shinra, and now your clock. He's not level 6. There's no emergency bailout with the hookshot. He just has to dance around the tower with his cogs, and he's buying a little bit of time, but not nearly enough to live. Nico picks up the double, 3 kills in total. They did end up losing Albino Zebra there, but you take that trade every single time. 10 kills on the board now in 11 minutes for 5RAT, and still not 100% sure, ET, how Felt address some of these issues finding farm.
Yeah, they're just going to be stuck in their jungle. They're going to be ran at. I mean, Nico's rotation was from the top tower, from the kill, all the way back one on the clockwork, into mid, into bottom, into behind the tier 2 to get the Batrider. He's just playing his advantage. He's never going to retreat to his side of the map. And that's where I think, really, somebody's got to give a lane up to Pingu. They need that clockwork hookshot. They need to find any disable to actually get Nico dead. They need this Blink Dagger on Sand King, and they need the hookshot, and then they can make a punch at Nico. Until then, though, he just gets to play this dominating style of Queen of Pain where, I mean, look at him. He's just bowling a Medusa. He's denying creeps in front of Solji mid. He's just doing the most obnoxious things you could imagine right now because he knows his advantage. He's got a tome in his backpack. I mean, he's feeling great.
Yeah, it's just, you get a free pass. What possible consequences can there really be unless you just massively overextend? So, continues to just sort of be aggressive. Speaking of aggression, though, there's going to be the lockdown onto Afromash up in the top lane, and this Cuddle should not be escaping this one. Gets the knockback there with the blinding light. The mischance. I mean, DNM missed one hit, but immediately comes back in with another swipe, and 5RATFORCESTAFF continue to find the kills. Now Nico's going to be TPing his way down bot. They see an opportunity. Little Nick goes in with the stun onto Zor, locking down the Sand King. He's going to try to get away here with that invis, and oh, Nico whiffed. Actually does not connect with that Sonic Wave, and now here comes the bailout. They're going to try to get the Clockwork in there. Pingu finally got that level 6. Shinra, though, will still die, and the clock's not even going to get away. I think it was, not sure if it was the Nightmare or the Dragon Tail that actually connected. Either way, though, Pingu does not escape. They find the kills, and they're just getting anything and everything that they want right now.
Yeah, hopeful at best for the Clockwork to go in there. It was a 2v4, I want to say, at the very best.
Oh my.
At the very worst, it was even worse, but there you go. You get pulled in, you get your Stone Gaze forced out. Now, Solji cannot show anywhere on the map or risk being picked off by himself, but this is also just not a very farm Medusa. He's gone for this Dragonlance buildup, and you go for the Dragonlance buildup 9 times out of 10, but in delaying this Manta, man, oh man, we are not going to see that Scotty for a very, very long time. Everybody just feels so cramped, and again, we're waiting for the Sand King blink. We're waiting for really any farm. He's having to split the jungle with the Medusa, and I think finally Zora's going to be able to get something, but it's where, bottom lane, the kills just keep coming. They need this objective. They want this tower so badly, but they're just not getting really what they need. And I mean, I'm looking over at Nico. He could just buy out a full Orchid if he wanted to right now, but he could also switch up his build and just go for the Kaisanj. Yeah, that's what it's going to be, but there's really no bad option at this point for the Queen of Pain.
As we were sort of saying before, not a whole lot in the way of negative consequences as, oh, Shinra, that, you can't get caught there, but that's supposed to be safe 14 minutes in, deep in your own jungle. But, I mean, on top of the fantastic vision that 5RAT has, this is what Giant loves to do on the Enchantress. You are just that ultimate sort of disrupting force, and that's a little bit more than a disruption as you just straight up kill the Batrider, but they are really establishing full control over this map.
Yeah, Giant's playing out of his mind. I mean, max leveled Impetus, it's what it's going to do. It's going to shred through these heroes, and we were talking about timings before, and they will smoke up with the Sand King's timing finally, but this is no BKB Batrider at 15 minutes into the game. He has barely got the workings of a Boots of Travel that he doesn't even have yet, and AB1, you know, this is his job. This is what he does. This is what he will give to his opponents. He'll break up the smoke. Zor didn't even want to try there, but if you look at the other side of the map, you know, that'll be your one AB1 in the game, I guess you could say, because the rest of his teammates are just farming up. They're just playing everywhere else.
Actually, it popped the glyph just now on the Felt side too, so they were worried about the push onto the tier 2 tower, but really the only one here was actually Giant, so now with that out of the way, I feel a little bit more confident trying to take some sort of trade. If you're Felt, though, you got the tier 1. You got the kill Bud, you got the kill on the Bane. Baby steps for them right now sort of has to be the name of the game, but, well, how much time can they buy at this point? Because I said before, 5RAT was starting to take control of the map. If it continues on at that pace, then Uso's really just not going to have anywhere to go.
Yeah, and I think really the most important thing for Felt just happened. Pingu placed this ward near the mid 2-1. If they are going to make any play in the game, it's going to be around this area. It's something that they need to do. They need to be the ones aggressing for once in this game. And I think if they can make a play off this ward, they come back here, they look for their opponents, it's going to feel great. But that's where Zor, nowhere is safe on your side of the map, and I think that's where Felt they need to start placing their own outposts. They need to start making these safe havens with their own vision, because they cannot afford to run into 5RATFORCESTAFF right now. They walk into AB1's vision at all, and they have both the cliffs here. They're just gonna die.
Find the kill, get the tower. 16 minutes in, and, you know, we could realistically see maybe a little bit of pressure on the high ground in that top lane. That's just really not the way that this is supposed to be if you're Felt. Dusa lineup that is meant to sort of slow the game down, and that's just straight up not happening right now. And oh, there's Kaya Sanj, finished off your Queen of Pain, so Nico has even less to be worried about right now. He's got the little bit of extra damage and durability, and they're actually going to go for the Roche attempt here as well. This is not going to be the fastest Roche we've ever seen, but it doesn't really need to be, because Felt can't contest this right now.
Yeah, and I also think it's just incredibly important if you are ahead like this, you do recognize your earliest possible moment where you can just be like, okay, yeah, we can just go into Roche. We're just not going to die. And this also goes to justify Nico's more greedy build in Queen of Pain even further, where, well, it just kind of works. Everything is just kind of coming together here. And now they are playing in Felt territory, though. They've spent a lot of time getting this vision, getting these wards down bottom. They're not the same high ground wards that 5RATFORCESTAFF have top, but it's still something to play around. It's still pickoffs that they could look to go back to, but you look over, they're even scared to stick around in this area. This is where the flow of the map kind of, you get to see it in full force here. Everybody has abandoned the top lane. Somebody from Felt needs to come deward this top area. Otherwise, 5RATFORCESTAFF are going to have another smoke into their base. I feel like that's where Pingu, he's got to get on this. Otherwise, we could just see them immediately flip the map again, and then Felt gets kind of constricted even further onto their side.
Pingu, for now, just trying to retake that outpost. Doesn't actually have any wards on him, so while he does that, they've spotted the Dusa. This would be big. Solji's in some trouble. He did get off that Stone Gaze at least, so maybe they can hold the line here. They've taken down Albino Zebra, but now they still need help for the Dusa. The reinforcements really aren't coming in just yet. Pingu's going to hookshot his way forward. Hookshots directly onto Nico. That's a nice play there, but it doesn't help the Dusa, as Solji will still fall. The Illuminate's flying through for a little bit of extra damage, but not sure if it's going to be enough to matter. Lil Nick will die, but the cost is just too high at this point. They've lost really everyone who was involved in that fight. Afromash gets away, and the Bat Rider wasn't there to begin with, but that's just a risky play from the Dusa. That many heroes going after the tier 1 tower, you think maybe you can slip through and make your escape, but the second they get the vision, they just went all in.
Yeah, and again, it's where he needs to be so careful with that Stone Gaze. It's the only reason for 5RATFORCESTAFF to not dogpile on top of him, and as soon as it's used, it's over. Meanwhile, though, AB1
No Fiend's
setting
Grip.
up. It's DNM, though.
Okay, never mind. Yeah, who needs Fiend's Grip when you've got a very, very farmed CK? They find that kill, and now
Afro.
oh man. If you run away, you die. If you stay still, you die. Just nothing to be done there.
It's just such a 5RATFORCESTAFF game. Such a 5RATFORCESTAFF draft, you know. They've really got, I think, all the hallmarks of their play here. And hey, Felt out aren't they're never out of it, right? You have that Medusa. If you get time, it's all you can do. But again, the forcing play, he's gonna be forced into Stone Gaze here, and
Oh, okay. Pingu and Zor getting in
Not
there with
bad.
the double stuns. They need to be able to take somebody down, though. They haven't done so yet. They're trying to get onto Giant, but Giant just healing himself back up, buying some time. They're going to regroup. Albino Zebra's coming in from the north, and that Medusa is still in some trouble, but now they've got the lasso. They're going to lock down the Dragon Knight. They find that first kill. Now they'll turn their attention onto the Bane. Should be able to pick him off as well. And I don't know if Nico really wants to go back in, but his teammate actually did find someone. Zor gets spotted. They didn't have detection for him when they went in, however. So Zor, able to regroup with his teammates, finds a kill and gets away. And, well, see, I think that's pretty much the best fight we've seen from Felt so far. They get the Duso away, and they find a nice trio of kills against 5RATFORCESTAFF.
Yeah, and I think most importantly, they executed it. The Stone Gaze gets used, the hookshot goes in, the Burrow Strike lands, everything hits. It forces 5RATFORCESTAFF into this, oh, what are we doing moment. And okay, Nico is just going crazy right now, and he will kill the Bat Rider. I think Shinra's going to tick out, which is so sad. And no, oh, they're just getting spread out across the map. This is the saddest thing I've ever seen, but wait.
That's unbelievably cautious, just assuming that Zebra was going to have the damage with the Brain Sap. It was a correct assumption, and the caution there may be warranted because Afromash was sort of coming in with the Illuminate, so they find that second kill. It does cost them the life of their Bane, but now DNM, that's a very aggressive move. Very nearly got it. Pingu, though, comes in with the hook shot, but it's only really a stalling tactic. They will still end up losing as support. But can they do any more here? DNM's health is not looking fantastic, but now here comes Nick blinking in,
no.
stun
He
applied.
doesn't have the
They've got the
shield.
Dusa. No, they don't. Hold on. Almost. Solji, he's going to get away. Okay. That was looking like a disaster, but your Medusa lives, and it's 5RAT who are the ones who have to back off now.
Oh, this is so scary. And they do get to back off the winners if they don't lose that. Yeah, the hurl boulder.
He
It's
denied a
good look.
bounty, too. Damn. Giant style points, but he is going to pay for that one. They eventually track him down, and Shinra will get the kill, but I'm not entirely sure what happened there. It looked like they had the Deuce dead to rights as Little Nick. That's a very bold move. Trying to get onto the bat. They need help, though. Nico's coming in. Shinra trying to hide in the corner. Not going to be able to make it out. Zor, meanwhile, did Burrow Strike his way onto the Bane, but it's just the two supports. They will eventually find the kill, but at the cost of both of their lives. And now Afro, very close to getting picked off there, but he's going to be able to make it out.
No, very, very fortunate. Everybody gets to walk away there. It feels like Felt we're finally getting some speed, and then unfortunately everything kind of comes to a tumble still, because when 5RATFORCESTAFF have everything, they still are the stronger team. But hey, 2 times in a row, Medusa gets caught, gets really, I think, 1,000 Manus burned off, gets healed by the Coddle. It's one of the biggest aspects of that Coddle Medusa draft, and Solji should be preparing to leave, but I don't think he's made the decision to TP out fast enough here. I think he's going to get caught.
Yep, Sonic Waves there for the pushback. Little Nick blinks in. They get the silence, they get the pullback, they get the stun. The Stone Gaze, though, will be applied. Pingu, actually, I think he hooked onto his teammate rather than an enemy, but he's still into the engagement, but they haven't got the Medusa away. Mana Shield gone, health gone, and it is time to run. Shinra's going to try to get himself away. Meanwhile, to the north, Zor actually goes in with the Epicenter. I don't think that's going to work out. They found 1 kill onto Little Nick, but way too high of a cost there. DNM picks up the triple, beyond godlike now on the CK, and Shinra the lone survivor, and he can't TP for a few more seconds, so he is effectively stuck here.
And Solji didn't even need to do that. It's very perplexing. They decide to rush. Everybody TPs down to that tier 2. They try to meet the Medusa, while at the same time, all members of 5RATFORCESTAFF are also running and trying to kill the Medusa. It's very strange decision, I think, from Felt. A very conscious decision as well. That was them instigating that fight by keeping the Medusa there. But I guess that's the way they'll kind of live and die in this game. And unfortunately for Solji, he's made a really rough decision. He has foregone the Scotty. He has bought a Shadow Blade. He's deciding that I'm not going to have time in this game. I need to get a useful item. It's going to be a little power spike for him, but man, oh man, that feels terrible. That is not a position you want to be in on this hero in top. Okay, Nico. Solo kill.
Just trying to wait for that TP. It did come back up, but he wouldn't have had enough time to actually make the escape, so... Well, unfortunate timing for him. Gets caught out. Now Zor, oh, he was hit by that dust, so they know he's there. Here comes the lockdown. Giant? Okay. Missing initially, but Nico's got it. They're able to get in there. They find the kill. They'll take the tier 2. It really feels like the walls are starting to close in on Felt. They're just getting pushed further and further back, and they're not ready for these fights. They've been able to take some solid trades every once in a while, but it feels like if it just comes down to the full 5v5, we have not seen them execute that Stone Gaze play consistently enough for them to survive this. As Zebra, did he just find another? Yes, he did. Pingu's going to try and fly in there to save the day, but... well, he saves a teammate, I suppose, but the cost of his own life, and Afro may not actually be getting out. Nico's going to continue to chase him, and he's got a BKB. Yeah, he's just going to keep on going. They find the kill, and they never took the tier 2. They're in the base. There's no objective for them to claim there, so that's just how confident they feel right now, ET. They're just going in, and there's zero repercussions.
And hey, Solji's out on the map, you know, he's getting some split push done for Felt, but I liken Albino Zebra 1 almost like a pinata, you know, he's just sitting in front of everything, just hoping they go on to him. He brain saps, you know, he gets another 400 HP, and then he doesn't die because the support is just right behind him. And even though this mid wave is cut, it's not perfectly cut. The cart did get there, so even though this back row is going to fade in, it's going to fade out, and oh no! The BKB, it just got finished, but it's not going to be used. This is a very unfortunate situation. That's your strongest defender. Now, I think this is going to very simply be a Rax if they want to really force it, but they do need to heal a little bit. Again, 5RATFORCESTAFF can lose a fight if they don't fight at full strength, but if they do get this clean reset, there's no business for Felt winning it.
Yeah. Well, that just really just kind of takes the wind out of Felt's sails a little bit there, you know? They had just gotten that BKB, feeling good. Maybe Shinra can get in there and make some sort of initiation, and then die without ever having activated it. So they do still have
a fight,
but what can they do? Roche is being taken. You've got Giant and a ward here, so they know this is coming the whole way through. Lil Nick looking for his opportunity, not wanting to go in initially. They would love to fake out that Stone Gaze. There it is. Now they go in. They pop the stun. They'll back themselves off. They'll wait this out, but Lil Nick just got hit by the lasso. He's going to get pulled into the fight, but DNM is here. Shinra just isn't tanky enough to survive that. He's just going to get blown up immediately. Buyback starting to come through. They really do need to protect the Dusa. Can they do it? No, they can't. Solji taken down. Pingu should be falling as well, and at this point, well, Felt may just be looking to throw in the towel here. They've used their buybacks. They lost really everything, and I'm not sure how much they have left to fight with at this point. Afromosh is on the run, and I don't even think he can get back to base unless he just goes for the TP home.
Hey, he's poking DNM. A little terrifying.
DNM's just thinking, what the hell are you doing, man? Leave me alone. But this is really the only play the Coddle has to make right now. If he TP's back home, he can't stop the push by himself, so be obnoxious, maybe stealed. No.
Oh no.
That's unfortunate. Tries for the TP away just as Albino Zebra gets in there, and well, it was nice while it lasted for the Keeper of the Light, but he will still fall, and DNM goes back to taking Roshan.
Yeah, and really to top everything off, DNM finished that Scotty right before the fight even kind of was incepted. So unfortunately, the Medusa gets caught by that slow. You're not running away really at all. And again, it's that in-between where the Stone Gaze gets popped. There wasn't any follow-up. Giant and Albino Zebra 1 were running too much interference. It's a Dragon Tail and an escape. And then suddenly, unless you have a BKB on this Medusa, you are not a fearsome hero. And even though he has that Silver Edge, it's going to just turn into a high ground defense. It really is just 5RATFORCESTAFF looking for, I think, their final kills in the game here. Any one fight on their side is really just going to be the game. Nice little BKB force out. You know, now the Batrider doesn't have anything if they do walk him back to the base, but I think more likely probably going to see 5RATFORCESTAFF just push in, get this final tier 2 bottom, and then do it the slow way. But the slow way is certainly not bad, especially when you don't really need to fear this Medusa. The reason the Scotty is so fearsome is that 25, and suddenly you can't get yourself in and out of this fight. Without that fear of the Scotty, the 25 is not nearly as important, and this Butterfly, it just doesn't feel like the answer. It doesn't feel like there's enough time.
Yeah, just we saw in those last couple of fights, you know, Solji...
Whoa.
Ooh. All right, Nick. Yeah, you know, go for it. See what you can get. But in that previous engagement, the Medusa got hit the first time. Felt lost 2 or 3 other heroes. Those heroes bought back and tried to TP back in. And by the time that they sort of got back into the fight, the Dusa was just dead anyway. So, like you said, I don't know if this Butterfly is going to be the answer. Sure, you've got some more damage, you've got some evasion, but evasion is not really going to be the saving grace. There's just enough lockdown and burst from 5RATFORCESTAFF to push through him anyway.
Yeah, and
Oh,
it's certainly not the flashiest way, but yeah, every single time. It's why the Silver Edge, I guess, kind of feels nice, but under the Sentry.
jumping in. Afro, okay, good play there. Throwing down the Will-O-Wisp. Will that be enough, though? They're trying to hold. Sonic Wave, though, comes in. Pingu will die, but Solji's still alive, so... well, mission accomplished, I suppose, but Nico doesn't want to give up. Jumping forward, pops the BKB, looking for the damage. They are getting onto the Medusa after all. Lasso in from Shinra will not be enough. Solji still dies. Shinra now has to pop the BKB and run away, but there's going to be the Fiend's Grip locking him down. Nico finds the kill. DNM, meanwhile, going all the way to the fountain to find that last kill. There's your GG. Double kill for DNM, triple kill for Nico, and game one pretty decisively going to 5RATFORCESTAFF.
Yeah, and 50-14. I mean, they kind of just work their opponents, and I think goes back to that mid lane, man. Nico just makes it look so good. It's a huge advantage there. It's a huge advantage in the bot lane. I think that was the weakest lane that Felt had. It was the answer that they really didn't have a problem to solve. It's where simply Kato Sand King, they just need to play better at their early levels, and then maybe it's a better lane. But any hero that gets paired with the CK, whether it's the CK Grimstroke or the CK Bane, it's just so hard to beat. And I think that's where Felt just simply weren't geared up enough for that lane. And the failure of that lane compounded in the failure in the mid lane, which compounded in Giant just playing his own game and then coming mid and then just kind of ruining everything. The early game was just so bad from Felt. I think probably needed to draft maybe just something a little bit more just again, in NA, you win your lanes, or it feels like a lot of times you just die. We don't see that same 25-minute turnaround where the draft finally clicks, and there are a few moments where you do get that initiation. The Stone Gaze gets popped, you get in front of heroes, you take so much damage, and then you get the follow-up from Zor, but it didn't happen enough. And I think that's where coming into game two, I felt are going to look to take off the series from 5RAT. They've got to get just something better in those lanes, because, man, picking Batrider and then just immediately getting Queen of Pain, it just it's too obvious. I think they need to be a little bit trickier here.
Yeah, they just sort of get the slam pick down there at the end of the draft, and I said at the start of the game, Felt would sort of need to force errors from 5RATFORCESTAFF. That is not what this is. A combined 36-0 between DNM and Nico, 0 errors, forced or otherwise, really, from those two in particular. So if you're Felt, you can't hand that much of the initiative to your opponents, especially not with the lineup that they had sort of drafted for themselves there. So something a little bit more proactive for them maybe, because if they come in with something like this again, 5RATFORCESTAFF proved they were more than capable of just shutting it down.
Yeah, I think ban-wise, maybe see a little bit of a change up here. I'd love if maybe we could see a Pango finally picked in Dota 2. That'd be fun, you know? Get some fun heroes, that'd be great. But I think really Felt kind of back to basics. They just need some good lane winners.
So we'll see what adjustments that Felt decide to make here. Down 0-1 in this series, trying to avoid an early trip down to the lower bracket. Meanwhile, for 5RAT, more of the same would be great for them. One game up right now, looking for the 2-0 sweep to move to the upper bracket final. So shall see what game 2 has in store. Draft going to be coming your way in about 5 to 10 minutes here. So BT and I will step aside for a moment, and we'll be back for that next match.